Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amy Cuevas, and I am Juan Ramirez, and you are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. And we have a new tradition here, so let's get right to it. A pleasant good evening to you, wherever you may be. Let's get to the business now. If you are listening to us on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, write us a review, rate us, help us grow the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us some comments. We would love to engage with you there. And make sure you follow us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, Threads, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, how are you? Long time no see.
I know. You're so good at that. That whole opening, introing thing. Good job. Way to go. Here's your flowers.
I am Job. I am Job. So before we get into the show, let's start the show the way we always start the show, and that is with our base running blunders. Amy, do we have any base running blunders?
I don't believe so. Were you notified of any by our listeners?
I was not notified of any base running blunders, so we're good so far.
So we're starting a new streak. So one episode without.
Is it one or two?
Well, I think we reset last episode, so we're on our first one.
Yeah, you're right. We're one game in. All right, we're doing good, people. So last time I saw Amy, we went to the game together. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Baseball Shangri-La. We went to the game as fans. And if you were following on social media, you saw all the wonderful content that we put out on social media. And that's why it's important for you guys to follow us on social media so you can participate in all the shenanigans. Right, Amy?
Yeah. Our matching shirts? I mean, come on.
Yeah, Amy and I went to Dodger Stadium at Sadie Hawkins style, so we wore our matching shirts.
Shout out to your wife, Wendy. Hey, thanks for letting me borrow him.
Exactly. And then what I thought was really interesting and what I really get a kick out of as we're walking around the stadium is when we recognize when people actually start quoting the show back to us. I think that's when you know we made it. We struck a nerve. The number of times that I got, give me that beat, or the number of times that Amy, what was the other one that you got, Amy? You got say goodbye to the people.
Got and yeah, no, I think it was those. Yeah. Just those. And then we also had stickers to hand out. So if you guys ever see us at a game, stop us, say hi. Like Juan said, let us know what you love about the show, like what your feedback, and we've got stickers.
So Amy, what was it like sitting in the loge with the real people, with the fans who know how to act at a baseball game? How was that experience for you?
There was still a lot of up down, Juan. So I mean, people were still coming in and out of the aisles. I was promised less up down, and that didn't happen.
So let me tell you something. I learned a lot about Amy being able to watch a game with her. So of course the game starts and she breaks out her scorecards. That's not a bit, people. That's who Amy is. And as you can see now, she's holding up those scorecards.
Nerd alert! Beware, beware. There is a nerd in the vicinity.
Hey man, someone's nerding out over here.
I would just like to say I was calmly sitting in my seat, just, going about filling out my scorecard. And all of a sudden I look to my right and there's my podcast partner, Juan, recording and doing his own live nerd alert. So, I'm just trying to peacefully track my game.
Look, I want to tell the people, this is not a bit. This woman actually keeps score. She has her scorecards. She literally takes them everywhere.
I offered you one and you said no. You turned them down.
Right. That because you own that. You are genuine with your scorekeeping. For me, it would just be trying to be like, oh, can I be a part of the cool kids? It was you. But here's the thing that fascinates me about Amy. So we all know she's a nerd and she's watching the game, and all of a sudden a beach ball comes out, and she turned into Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. All of a sudden, like I saw her mad dogging it. I thought she was mad dogging me, but she wasn't mad dogging me. What she was doing was she was mad dogging the people who had the beach ball, and I think they were 2 sections over from us. So Amy, again, your hatred of the beach ball surfaces. Why are you so anti beach ball?
I just, one, I'm there to watch the game, but two, I feel like while some people love it because they like, especially kids, they love hitting that around, but it bops people in the back of the head. I've shared my experience. I've had beer spilled on me from somebody getting hit by it. They spilled about $100 worth of beer. To me, it's disruptive. If you want to do that, go do it in the pavilion. I mean, there's a reason that they're prohibited from the game. I am not a fan because I've been on the receiving end of getting bopped, beer dripped on me, whatever. So, personal preference.
Look, either way, I had a blast that night. I thought it was a lot of fun that we got to go to a baseball game together. We got our hoodies. We got rejected from the Tommy Lasorda speakeasy. We obviously aren't big time enough to be able to get into the speakeasy. But
I got my swag from Campeon Club. Like got all of my cool gear, awesome shirts, awesome hoodies.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to thank them on the last episode. And that is a big shout out to Campeon Club, who hooked us up, as Amy said, with all the gear. And she was walking around. I felt so bad. She looked like a bag lady at Dodger Stadium. She had like 3 bags with her, and it was all full of swag. So again, guys, any of the swag that you see us wearing on social media, that's the MLB's most hated, the hoodie that I was wearing there.
Did you have City of Angels?
Yeah, City of Angels is on the hoodie, and on the sleeves they have the retired numbers, and on the other sleeve they have all the Dodgers World Series championships. So if you guys want any of that stuff, it is available at Campeon Club. They are huge supporters of Baseball Shangri-La, so we would love for you to support them. You can reach out to them, follow them on Instagram. That's the easiest way to get access to their store, and you can get the gear. They were great. So, but a lot of fun. I hope that's not the last time that we do it. Amy. I hope we have more.
We'll actually be at the Quakes game, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday for Las Chaquetas for that game.
That is true. Baseball Shangri-La is having another field trip. We're going to be doing some minor league baseball, low A. That's right. I forgot. Chaquetas night is right around the corner. So
we got our permission slip signed so we can go.
Yeah, so make sure you're following us on the social media, because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of great kooky content again during that experience. But let's recap. Let's talk some baseball, Amy. So at the time we're recording this, the Dodgers are in Chicago, ready to start a 6-game road trip. But we're going to recap what happened with the Giants. So, and again, and if Jose Ayala is watching us, this is not a base running blunder, because we were again wrong with our predictions, Amy. We
just need to not predict anymore.
Right? We're just always wrong. So we both had them winning 2 out of 3 in that series, and it turns out the Dodgers went ahead and swept them.
The Dodgers were like, hold my beer, watch this.
Look, my takeaway from that series is that the offense carried them, and they did just enough to win that game. What positives do you take away from that series, Amy?
Well, aren't they on a streak? Weren't they on a streak up to the last Giants game of at least 5 runs a game, which was like something. Some of the stats were going back like to the 1800s, I think, within the Dodgers franchise. And then there's other teams that have gone, I think 10 games was the most by another team. So,
well, actually, the record is 13 by the Yankees.
Oh, is it?
That's the major league record. So at the end of the Giants series, I believe, and we'll need to go back and check that, I believe the Dodgers tied the franchise record.
9 games, I think.
Yeah, 9 games of 5 runs. So, yeah, I mean, to me, the offense carried them. But what positives do you have, or what do you want to what stood out for you in that series?
So obviously Mookie Betts homered again. Good for him. He's off to a great start. But we got some of the other guys with some home runs throughout that series. So Teoscar, Miguel Rojas, and then obviously, which we'll get to, I'm sure more later, Shohei Ohtani got his first home run. So everybody's just kind of getting back into the swing of things. So it's good to see them, all just figuring stuff out.
That's right. And all it took for Shohei to hit a home run, and we're going to get to that, but all it took for Shohei to hit a home run was for Baseball Shangri-La to be in the stadium.
You're
Just
welcome.
putting that out. Yeah. So you're welcome, Shohei. What was interesting to me is it seems like the first 6 hitters in this lineup, they're the ones that are doing all the damage. I mean, Will Smith is hitting over 400. Federico was flirting with 400 at that point. I mean, I don't know how you can. I don't know what to do with Shohei at this point, because there were some balls that he was hitting really, really hard, and it was like right at them. So he had like nothing to show for it. Right. So he was hitting like 270 at one point, and I'm hearing everybody like, oh man, Shohei, like what's wrong with Shohei? What's wrong with Shohei? And then Mookie's just been on that tear. So again, I said this a lot on the last show, is if your team scores you 5 runs, you have a really good chance of winning. So for me, the good of that series against the Gigantes was the fact that the offense kept scoring, and they did just enough to win games. And this is, again, the reason why I'm not concerned about the Dodgers in the regular season. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm just, it just been like, what are we going to do with Shohei? Just because I'm looking at his stats right now. Like, he hit a sac fly, got an RBI, he doubled, came in, somebody else brought him in. I think it was Freeman. He walked, he got another single in another game, hit a home run. Like, baseball's a game of failure. Like, he's not going to be hitting in every single at bat. Like, Mookie is a tear. He's on a tear. He's an anomaly, but like, he's getting some swings in.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think the other positive of this homestand is,
and that wasn't just at you. That was just in general.
So you've heard those. You heard
Yes.
those same things.
Oh yeah. That's why I was just like, oh dear.
Another person that I think had a great series, and I think came out of the witness protection program, was Dinelson Lamet. Dinelson Lamet, a guy who I had completely forgotten that the Dodgers signed in the offseason as part of a project. And then he got called up because of the basically the poor old Chris Matt pitched one game, and they just went, thank you for your services against the Cardinals. And then all of a sudden we see Dinelson Lamet, who had like his moment when he was with the Show Pods. But things have gone bad for poor Lamet. So when the Dodgers called him up, I was fully expecting a project, but he pitched 3 innings in that series, didn't give up a hit. He had 3 Ks. He actually got a 2-inning. He went 2 innings in one game, and he got the save in that last game to complete the sweep.
I think they were saying that was his first career save, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I mean,
check, but I think that's what they were saying on the radio.
The question is, can that guy keep that up? And if he can't keep it up, that's just another weapon for the Dodgers in the bullpen, because I'm going to save this for another episode, because I'm going to wait to see what happens in Chicago. But there's a couple people in the Dodgers bullpen that I'm already like, oof, I don't know about that, but I'm going to give them a series to see if things can start turning for them. But there's one guy.
Gracious of you. That is very gracious of you.
I do that because there is one guy whose ERA is concerning to me, and he just has not looked. And there's different theories, but again, I'm going to save it. I'm going to wait to see what happens in Chicago.
I can't wait to go back and score that game, because I was working today while it was on. So I'll get my brand new scorecard and take a look at it. And
somebody else that I want to throw some flores at is Evan Phillips. Evan Phillips, so far, every time we've seen him, he's looked great. His ERA is 0. He got a 4-out save in that series against the Gigantes. And, there were some moments like for a while there, Evan Phillips, I think, was the Dodgers' best reliever. They depended on him, whether it was the ninth inning or whatever. He was the high leverage guy. And there were some moments last year where it was a little bit of a roller coaster, where he was the Evan Phillips that we know. And then there was like, oh, what's happening here? Is there something wrong with Evan Phillips? So I think he's had a nice little start to the season so far. So I want to give flores to those guys. Glasnow, I think, started off great in that game that we went to, Amy. I mean, he had like only 18 pitches through the first 2 innings. But then he gave up that home run. Now, he gave up a home run I think he's given up a home run in every game he's pitched so far this year. I know he gave up a home run in the Dodgers home opener. But the thing is about Glasnow is he was throwing so many strikes. He was right over the plate against the Gigantes. And that is my concern, that around the third time through the lineup, the Giants were starting to hit him hard. But to his credit, he was able to get through 6 innings. He only gave up 3 runs. It was a quality start. He gave up 3 runs. They were all earned, but he had 7 Ks. He only gave up 4 hits. So the problem is those hits that he did give up, and it resulted in runs. But
Well, there were some instances that you and I were watching from our seats in Loge where
that's right. We were loging it out. We were loging.
we were logers. We saw some of those pitches were not quite making it to the plate, or they were dipping down really low. And so we had I think we even had a couple wild pitches, but I think Smith was catching that night and so managed to like kind of stop those. But we were noticing, just a little bit of, I don't know if that would be command or just, they were just falling short of the plate.
Yeah, you know what? They asked him about that after the game, and he said he was having a hard time with his grip on his breaking pitches, and that would probably explain why they were going. Like some of them were bouncing right in front of the plate. You even had mentioned it to me at the game on Wednesday. We were like, "What's going on?" So maybe those command issues that he had was because he was having issues with his grip. I don't think he was as cold that night as it was on Saturday night, like when you were there when the Dodgers were playing the Cardinals with Yamamoto.
They all blend together at this point.
Amy's such a regular. She's always at Dodger Stadium that she has like no clue what night I'm talking about.
I was like, hold on, let me go back to my card. 'Cause that's how I keep them straight. 'Cause I'm like, wow, it really started to blend. But overall, I mean, they did end up having to pull him, but he still gave them, what was it? I think by the time we pulled him, 6 innings.
Yeah, he went 6 innings. It's a quality start. 6 innings, gave up 3 runs. James Paxton, I'm not going to sit here and be so critical of our number 5 starter, but
I'm not going to be critical, but go ahead.
But this is what fascinates me, right? Because you look at Paxton's line on Monday. He went 5 innings. He didn't give up any runs. He only gave up 4 hits, and he struck out 5. So you would sit there and you'd be like, "Hey,
quite a few though."
That's the issue. He gave up 5 bases on balls. So there was always traffic, it seemed, through all those innings that he pitched.
Well, that should have made the MLB very happy then, because we've actually got more traffic on the bases.
But look, he got out of it. He got out of it. And now the question is he going to be out of it? I mean, that's not a trend that I would like to see continue, to have him walk as many hitters as he did, because there's going to be moments where he's not going to get out of it. So that's why, for me, as great as the starting pitching was during the Cardinals series, it definitely took a step back during the Giants series. The offense carried them, but in the end, they swept them. They swept the Giants, and I think it's always great to sweep the Giants.
It's always great to sweep the Giants. And I don't know if you caught that Tuesday game, but that line out to Kike in left field where he like Superman and caught the ball. Just want to throw that out there, top of the 5th.
That's right. I mean,
pretty amazing.
It was a hell of a, I mean, look, I'm one that has been complaining about the Dodgers defense That was a hell of a play by Kike, and somebody I also want to tip my hat to because he catches a lot of strays in regards to his defense. But Max Muncy made a hell of a play at third base on
Just one?
Wednesday night.
Just one?
I
I'm
mean,
just
look,
kidding.
the other ones were
He's been doing well, but go ahead.
the
Talk
other
about
ones were
your
routine,
play.
but there was one that he short hopped, and I mean, he was way over. He was almost by like shortstop, but he was on the grass, and that ball was hit really hard, and he just he was able to dig it out, and he made a nice play. So look, I'm trying to give people their flores. I know I'm the prince
Was
of
that
darkness.
almost a Care Bear stare on your side?
There we go. I am giving. All right, this is what we're gonna do. New bit just got created on the show as we speak. Instead of handing out flores, I am going to give them my taco Care Bear stare. Okay. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Care Bears were a thing in the 80s, but if I were to have my own Care Bear, I would have tacos on my stomach. And so, for those who aren't familiar with the Care Bears, whenever they did a Care Bear stare, whatever their symbol was on their stomach, like if it was a rainbow would come out of their stomach. If it was hearts would come out. So mine is tacos. So I would do a taco Care Bear stare. So for Muncie's defense, I give him a taco Care Bear stare. Does that work for you, Amy?
That does, but that just gave me a thought so that I'm not like trampling on Care Bears of old. I want to have like a blue sparkly baseball on my stomach if I'm a Care Bear. So you can have your tacos. I'm gonna have my blue sparkly baseball.
So Amy's going to be throwing baseballs at people's heads. I just want you guys to know that with blues. Okay, so whenever you hear that, she's doing a Care Bear stare. Okay,
we'll have to get a sparkle noise. We'll get our tech people on that.
That's right. We'll get a sound effect for Care Bear stares. Everybody, I don't want the suspense to kill you. All right. So we had mentioned it that all it took was Baseball Shangri-La to be there in order for Shohei to hit his first home run. So let's first talk about Shohei's home run before we get into this whole drama that has now spun from Shohei's home run.
Oh gosh, here we go.
A lot has been said, Amy, that him hitting that home run, you could sense the relief in him that he finally got it off his shoulder. And now people are expecting him to go on a tear. Do you subscribe to that? Do you buy that?
I think he's going to be a baseball player, and he's going to play as well as he can. I know that's not the shock answer you wanted, but it's Shohei Ohtani. Like he's going to do what he does.
I think there might be some truth to that, though. I do think, I don't know if he was pressing, but he might have felt pressure, the fact that Miguel Rojas had more home runs than him.
Oh, I'm sure that's what did it. That's probably the mitigating factor there. But when he saw
Miguel Rojas go yarding, are you fucking kidding me? This guy has more home runs than I do.
To be fair, Doc did confirmed what Shohei already said, and I think we talked about this last episode. There were some timing issues, much like many of these players who are coming over to our team. There are some adjustments to be made, and he is still coming off surgery from last September, so adjusting. Is he a rock star? Yeah. Is he gonna probably go on a tear? Yeah, but give the guy some time.
That's an excellent point that you bring up, because Jose Mota talked about this during the post-game show, that the last time, because Jose Mota was working for the Angels when the last time that Shohei had gotten the surgery. And Mota had said that it took a while when Shohei came back from that surgery for him to start getting into a rhythm at the plate and actually start to perform. So I think we forget about that because he's Shohei and we just expect him to be great. But he is still recovering. So I'm sure that injury is messing up with his timing. Why are you laughing at me now again?
Be perfect. I'm not laughing at you. Be perfect. Be perfect now. Be perfect always. It makes me laugh.
Well, but I think this is what separates, great players, right? And that is they're really hard on themselves. And I do feel as though we kid around and say Shohei needs to be perfect. But why are you Wolf of Wall Streeting me?
Yes, I agree with you 100%. You are right.
I'm sorry. What would you say?
You were right.
I can't hear. These headphones are horrible. I like.
You're right.
See, it's amazing. Whenever you whisper, I can hear you
So
perfectly.
so he is very I'm sure he is very hard on himself, much like the rest of the players on this team, but also fans are really hard on these guys. Like this is something where I have a hard time in the stadium, and I know everybody gets to celebrate their fandom however they want, but like luckily he hasn't been yet, but we've heard our team boo our players, like we hear them boo other players, but like this is the stuff that I don't understand about baseball of like players are already going to tear themselves down, and then you have fans, the people who are supposed to be loyal to you, tearing you down too. And maybe they're not booing him in the stadium, but there are very high expectations on him. And the season just started. And so it makes me giggle when people are like, oh, I don't know, like the way he's hitting right now, like not great. It's just like, oh, okay. Or he's human. It's cool. Either way.
Yeah, and I feel like he is. I'm sure he's aware. He is the face of Major League Baseball. He is, newly acquired. He's got a $700 million contract. Like what you just said, the expectations are through the roof. Whether they're real or not, it doesn't matter. Those expectations are set. So for him to, I guess if you compare to like the start that Mookie's had, the start that the Oscar Hernandez, I think that's what people were expecting from Shohei, right? That kind of start. And to see, I think Shohei sees
You know
this.
what happens with expectations, right?
What happens with expectations?
Expectations are like, oh man, are we being family friendly today or not? They're
Go
like
ahead.
they're like buttholes. Everybody has one and they all stink. Like
Wow. That's impressive.
I'm curtsying.
So I'm pretty sure that one's going to get pretty popular, Amy. That expectations are like buttholes. Everyone has one, and they all stink.
Well, I didn't make it up. Just for
But there was another listener or viewer who brought up another one of your sayings that it's like, this is baseball. What do you want, a chocolate bar? So I thought. I just wanted everybody to know I'm doing a show with a poet here. So every once in a while, Amy's going to drop this gold on us. Like, hey, expectations, they're like buttholes. So
I'm going to paint you glorious pictures. There you go.
Wow, we really are a vulgar show, aren't we? And like, we have Hope in one hand and then we have Juan in the other. So
otro mano.
So I could sit there, like I said, I could see how he could be relieved that he finally hit one, and maybe because I think there is some truth that sometimes when athletes, when they're trying too hard, they get themselves out of rhythm, they get themselves out of whack, and it's just like, no, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. The results are going to come. You have to trust the process, so to speak. So I think it was great. I can say that I was at the game when Shohei hit his first home run as a Dodger. I have this friend. We're gonna call him Joe Houses. Okay.
Hey everybody, it's story time!
Settle in, kids. Settle in.
I'm gonna tell you about my friend Joe Houses. Okay, my friend Joe Houses is like the Mexican Forrest Gump. He's always at all these milestone moments in Major League Baseball. And there's times where I'm just like, of course you were there. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like he was at a no-hitter. He was at this and all that. But now next time I see him, because he lives in Michigan, next time I won't see him until the summer. When I see him, I'm going to be like, guess what, buddy? I was at the game when Shohei hit his first home run as a Dodger. So I finally get to one-up him, and that's what it's all about, people. It's about one-upping people.
Integrity and family values. That's what we're all about.
That's right. Don't ever say you don't learn anything on this show. Okay, so now we're going to get to a story that I know Amy can't wait to get to. All right, the aftermath of Shohei hitting the home run. Okay, look, everything is great at this point. The Dodgers have swept the Giants. The Dodgers are 7-2. Great homestand, going 6-1. Great start on to the season. And then all of a sudden, Shohei hits his home run. And I did not notice this while I was in the stands. So Amy and I were sitting in the loge, because we're logers, down the right field line, right? So immediately I was cheering. I got caught up in the moment. So I did not see when this fan caught the Shohei's home run ball, how security came and basically just grabbed them and took them out of the pavilion. Did you see this, Amy?
I did not.
So they escorted. So the woman who caught the ball, her name is Amber Roman. She was there with her husband. And so the minute she caught it, security came, grabbed them, escorted them back. I'm assuming it was probably over by the clubhouse area or underground over by home plate.
Somebody said it was by the Gold Glove bar, I believe, like in that area.
Oh, okay. So they took him into
Or at
that
least
area.
that was one of the articles. There have been a couple, and there's been some conflicting information in different articles. So
That surprises me
that
that that surprises me that they would do that, because all of this is about, of course, the negotiation that took place to get back this ball. Okay. So she gets back the ball. And so she gives back the ball, and it was a trade. So what she got out of it was an autographed bat. She got an autographed ball, and then she got 2 autographed caps. So that's what happened there. And then all of a sudden, this story has just taken a life of its own. And part of me feels like I'm in an episode of Alice in Wonderland, Amy. Like, I feel like this is now I'm totally going to be mixing literary references here. Like, is this all much ado about nothing? Is there anything else that you want to add to this before we start giving our 2 cents? Why are you laughing at me?
because you actually just took the words out of my mouth. When you texted me earlier with something about this story, I was just like, much ado about nothing. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Like, so you and I are on the same page. No, go ahead. I have some thoughts, but like, please proceed.
Well, the first thing that I had is how people were like reacting to that's all she got for the ball. And part of me is just like, I don't know when this happened all of a sudden, that if you catch something, that you are owed something. Like, isn't just catching the baseball enough? But like, so when I started hearing stories about, oh, she's so stupid, that ball was worth like 6 figures. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Who the hell? I mean, it's not like we're talking about breaking the all-time home run record. I mean, we're talking about it was his first home run ball as a Dodger. Do you really think? And I know there was a guy, some guy from Hunt Auctions said that the ball could possibly go for between $50,000 to $100,000. And look, if you're going to spend that much money on a ball, you must be a real show bay. I just part of me doubts.
But I'm sure there are people who would spend that. But back to your question about being owed, like at what point, to your question, like what point are you owed anything? Has that been? I mean, I haven't researched what people get for memorabilia over the years, but like, are you owed anything? Like, is that written somewhere? I'm arguing either side of that, just because, yes, you could get 100,000, but if it's not authenticated by the team because you took it, then at that point, it's not even $100,000 ball. Would somebody still probably pay for it? Because I think one of the articles pointed out it was shown on TV that she caught it. She has the ball. Maybe the MLB didn't authenticate it at that point, but is it still worth something? I don't know. Like, what would you ask for if you were?
I saw a lot of people, but I don't know if this is fair. And I know, and again, this makes me feel like I'm just a greedy bastard. But for me, I would have asked for season tickets. I want season tickets.
And you think they would have given that to you? You think that's realistic?
And that's what I'm talking about, right? It's just like, when I stop myself and I'm like, okay, listen to yourself. You're asking for season tickets because you caught a ball in the stands. When how many times, hey, there's a souvenir for the fan. Like, that should be, that's it.
Well, I understand that it's a souvenir, and this is not an attack on what they chose to do or what they didn't. Everybody is going to make a different decision, and this is one of those things that I feel down to like the marrow in my bones. We can all say what we think we would do, and then when you're faced in that situation with the adrenaline and everything happening, you don't know what you're actually going to do in this situation or any situation in your life. So it's one thing to say, think about it and daydream, but like it's totally different when you're in that moment. That being said, though, like there were even things floated out like, oh, be in the dugout during the game. Do like within reason, like realistic. Like I think a big ask, but maybe within reason would be like, hey, can I get like a ball or a bat signed and authenticated? But
Yeah.
I'd like to meet him after the game and just take a picture with him. To
Yeah.
me, that would be reasonable.
Yeah.
And but like season tickets and the dugout, like some of these fantastical things, like I want world season ticket or World Series tickets, and it's like, okay, good luck.
And she even said that, and I think her husband also said that was
Mhm.
we weren't going to extort the guy. Okay, but look,
And to be fair, in their honor, in their favor, they wanted to make sure he got that ball back. They weren't trying to be like, oh, what are you going to give me for it? Like every report and a couple of the news things that I saw, they were like, no, we wanted to get that ball back to him. We know it's important. So it wasn't like they were just trying to extort him.
yeah, and that's why that was my question to you, Amy, is when did we get to this point where I look, because you're a logical person and you live on planet Earth and you're not up in the clouds like I am, where I'm just
How
like,
are the clouds? How is it up there?
well, I saw Darth Vader there once. It was a trap. Um, but the thing is, yeah, I think reasonable what you said, exchanging for an autographed ball, taking a picture, a bat, I think that is all reasonable. But for me, of course, and I think that's probably the problem is what can I get out of this? What can benefit? How can I benefit from this? And of course, the thing to me, I don't care about an autograph. I don't want any of that stuff. What is more important to me is I want to continue to go to more Dodger games. So that's why I would ask for season tickets. But you're absolutely right. Is the value? Let me ask you this. Okay, so the guy from the auction place said that they could go for 50,000, maybe up to 100,000. Could I get season tickets for those prices?
Where do you want to sit?
In the loge?
I mean, maybe, but I mean, are the Dodgers going to look at you and be like, yes, let's give up this revenue for this person who caught the ball? Like, at what point did they walk away and call the loss? Like, yeah, it would have been nice to get him that ball, but like, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you tickets.
Damn it. Why you got to be so logical at this? Like I said.
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry. Here, you can have the whole loge section to yourself. We'll even name it after you and put a plaque. Better?
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. This story to me has just gone so out of hand. Like in regards to the part where the Dodgers told her. Okay, so I know that a lot of people have problems with this part of the story. When the security escorted them out. So according to the reports, the Dodgers said they would not authenticate the ball. And what's interesting is both her and her husband are talking. So the other thing that was upsetting to people was they separated the two. So they only dealt with Amber because she's the one that had the ball. And they had separated the husband so they could not interact with each other in terms of discussing what would be a fair trade. But in terms of the authentication, this is what I know the Dodgers are getting a lot of heat for that, but I want to be fair on this. And that is, so Major League Baseball has an authenticator that usually sits in the dugouts for games where there is a possible milestone. So, for example, when El Tío, Albert Pujols, was close to 700, they had someone there.
I'm going to one-up you. I was at that game.
Oh, uh-oh. Did you just pull a Joe Houses on me? You pulled the Joe Houses on me.
100%. I just did.
So here's the thing. We don't know if there was a Major League Baseball authenticator there at that game because there was no milestone.
You don't think that they're going to have one with Shohei at the beginning of the season? The Dodgers? Like, it's not like we're talking about one of the other teams where maybe they're not as high on like broadcast and whatever. You don't think the Dodgers had somebody there? And this is not a critique on the Dodgers and what they did. I'm just saying, you don't think they had an authenticator?
Well, we can assume it, but we don't know for a fact because the Dodgers
Sure,
did not confirm, or
sure,
Major League Baseball did not confirm that
sure.
they had an authenticator because they sit there in the dugout. And then the other thing is Major League Baseball won't authenticate it for you if the player wants it back. So here's the thing. We don't know if Shohei was the one who asked for the ball or if it was the Dodgers who wanted the ball because it was Shohei's first home run as a Dodger.
We don't even know who was dealing with it. We have, like I said, there are a couple different articles, a couple different versions. They're for the most part they're the same, but there are variations in each story. But we don't even know who they were dealing with. Were they dealing with only security? Did somebody from the front office or the office come down to deal as well? Or is security given that much responsibility to be able to negotiate those things? We don't know any of that because we weren't there.
Right. We don't know, and none of the reporting, because you're right. The Athletic has an article about this. Bill Plaschke wrote an article about this in the LA Times. So there are all these reports of allegedly what happened, and that was because they interviewed not only Amber, but they interviewed her husband. They've also been interviewed by local television. They were on Channel 4, NBC4. They were on Fox 11 being interviewed. And so what they had said, and this is what Amber said, was she felt like, she had to negotiate on the spot without the input of her husband. And her husband was asked to remain in the hallway, is what she said. And that's why when you said it was over by the Gold Glove bar, it makes me like, why would they do it there? Because I feel like that's so public. It would
That's
be
just
like,
what one of the articles said. So, like I said, don't quote me on that because I think that might have come from the Platschke article, but I'm not 100%. Maybe it was one of the other ones. But I guess this again because it sounds like we have the value of hindsight, right? Like we can think
right.
about everybody, including the writers, everybody who's weighing in on this. They get to make this like, well, this is what I would have done, or but she was in the moment. And so were security. Everybody involved in this was in a heightened situation. I mean, in that situation, if you have only so many options, like if I'm there, let's say with my best friend, maybe I'm not there with a husband or a partner or whoever. Am I going to like how hard do you fight that? How hard are security pushing back? In that situation, I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to even negotiate unless you let me bring my best friend in. Like I want to have my person here with me. But I can say that with the luxury of not being there, not having security in my face. I don't even know how many security people were around her. I don't know. Like if I push back enough, is the pushback from security like, well, then we're not going to authenticate the ball. I have to be willing at that point to walk away and be like, all right, cool. Well, if I can't talk to my person while we're making this decision, then I'm done. I can say that though, because I wasn't in that heightened situation. I can make up alternate scenarios and none of that is going to change what happened, I guess is kind of my point.
No, but I do think that there was definitely a sense of urgency that needed, and probably that's why they all, both the couple that caught the ball, that's probably why they felt the pressure that they had to make a decision right then and there because there was a sense of urgency because of the fact that you can't let them leave the stadium with the
Mhm.
ball
And
because
that's all to say everything that I just said, that is not an attack on what they did because I think the situation they were in, him on the side, her right there, security all around, like that had to have been challenging. That is not an attack on however they decided to shake this out. So,
yeah. So I mean I understand that why they felt that way they did. And I think a lot of it is because it happened so fast. Because if you let them leave the stadium, then you don't know if that ball is the actual ball that Otani hit the home run with. So I understand why there is that sense of urgency. And it's like you said, look, Dodgers, I don't mess with Dodger security. Okay, I've heard a lot of stories. I've seen stuff with Dodger security, and I will just say this: Dodger security is not there to be your friend. Dodger security is there to do a job. Okay, there's people who they do fan services. They're the ones that says fan services on the bag. So when this story came out, there was a part of me, but like you said, Amy, we don't know if it was Dodger security, the one doing the negotiation. I would think it wouldn't have been them. I would assume it would be someone from the Dodgers, but
but did they get down there that fast? Did they like to your point about an authenticator potentially being in the stadium or not? Could somebody from the front office get down wherever they were that quickly? How long did this take? Those are all things we don't know. And maybe from this situation, because I really hope that this is not what we're going to do all season, that we are going to nitpick every little thing that happens during the season. If that's the case, like, have fun, guys. But if nothing else, maybe this will yield better practices if they didn't have kind of a policy in place for negotiating. Again, back to your earlier point, what are you owed? I don't know that you're necessarily owed anything, but in this perspective, maybe this does come up with, hey, when this happens, we're obviously they're not going to leave the stadium, but we're not going to also rush them. We'll have that conversation, and we'll figure out a better way so that people don't feel rushed. People feel like, not that they care, but they feel comfortable about the whole thing, because these are lifelong Dodger fans from everything that I read. They enjoy coming to the stadium multiple times a year. So you want to continue that relationship too. You don't want to sour that either.
No, but I think that's exactly though what you're talking about here. This does feel like, all right, are we really looking into all of this? Because I think and I think Plaschke wrote this in his article in the LA Times, that part of the reason why this has turned into a kerfuffle is that there is this quest to maintain Ohtani's image and keep him happy. And I don't know if we can say that 100%, because again, we don't know if Ohtani was the one who asked for the ball. Now, if the Dodgers acted like this because they assumed or they felt like Ohtani would want the ball, or more importantly, they want the ball so they can showcase it at Dodger Stadium. Hey, this is Ohtani's,
This is probably their standard practice. If it's a milestone, no matter how big or small, we're gonna try to reacquire that item.
And it has led, because there was just a recent update on this, and that is the Dodgers are now going to review the process or the procedures involved when fans catch milestone balls. So you're right, Amy. The positive that has come out of this is now the Dodgers are going to look into this and review their process, so it doesn't turn into such an international incident like it's becoming. Because not only was it this, it was the big thing that they made up was the fact, well, Ohtani never met with them, and I know you saw something about, can you clarify about that?
Okay, so two things. Back to kind of your point a moment ago, like us kind of picking everything apart. I don't remember that, like when Hyunjin Ryu hit that, when he went Ryuth and hit that home run ball. I was at that game too.
Wow, she just went Joe Houses again. Two Joe Houses. She Joe Houses me twice in one episode.
He's gonna be so happy to know that his name is a verb now.
Either that, or he's gonna pull a Will Smith and slap me across the face and say, "You keep my name out of your mouth."
But I don't remember this being that big of a deal when he hit that ball. I don't even know if he got the ball back. Did the fan keep it? Like, it hasn't been a big deal up until something like this with Shohei. Back to your point, though, there have been certain things that were said in articles of like how it was interpreted. And this is not a knock on Will Ireton, but there was one where it was maybe a pronoun wasn't said. So it was like, I don't remember the exact quote, but something like, they spoke with somebody or spoke with somebody. So was it Shohei spoke with them, or was it the front office or security spoke with them? And because of the interpretation, that, that might have gotten muddied. And again, this is where I think we have to remember, not only does Shohei try to get the message across, but he has an interpreter. They're not a translator. Translation is that's for like written word. You're translating word for word. But even then, like if you're looking at things like books, there's multiple different translations because different people interpret things different ways. Same thing with an interpreter. Will Ireton's going to try to get as true of a rendition of whatever Shohei's saying, but it's still his interpretation. So we've got to remember that we're not getting word for word what Shohei is saying. Everybody along the way is trying to give as faithful a message as possible. And so I think that's where we need to give some grace of like, people are starting to just crucify Shohei. Like, well, he said he met with them and now they're saying that he didn't. And it's like, okay, but where did the message break down in all of this? And instead of just like, well, he must be lying. And that rubs me the wrong way because again, I really can't imagine that there are people with malicious intent on either side of this.
And that's why I think it goes to your point again. It's like, really, is this what we're going to do all season, where we're going to dissect every little thing that Shohei does? Because it's going to make the season a lot longer than it already is.
Can we just enjoy baseball? Like, do you even like baseball, bro? Because this isn't even about the game. Like, can we just enjoy watching this game that we love? Like, this is, like I've said it before, this is where I go to find my peace. I am not finding peace so far this season. Like, can we please get back to that? Because baseball is my refuge, and that it doesn't feel like it lately.
I mean, according to the couple, they feel like they were taken advantage of. Now that may be hindsight is 2020 because of the fact that they were rushed. And again, there's a sense of urgency. A deal needed to be made because they could not let them leave that stadium without making a deal. So when they say, that they were fully taken advantage of, here's my big thing with this. If this is true, because this was in the reporting, this is the only thing I could really fault the Dodgers on. And that is, if the Dodgers promised to escort them to their car after the game, and they didn't do that, which is what the couple is saying they didn't do, then I think, all right, look, if you promised them that you were going to do something, you need to carry out your word. You need to, because according to the reports, they had to take off their Dodger gear because everyone knew who they were. And as they were walking to their car after the game, as they're walking to the parking lot, they have a baseball bat, they have a ball, they have 2 hats that are signed by Shohei. And somebody could have mugged them, ripped them off in the parking lot for that kind of stuff. So if the Dodgers said, we will escort you to your car after the game, and they didn't do that, that's the only thing I could say you could really fault the Dodgers at that. Okay. You disagree.
So no, I if that's the version, but this is where there's 2 versions of the story. We're hearing one version in Platchkey's, we're hearing another in the Sam Blum in The Athletic. And The Athletic is the one that mentioned the Gold Glove bar. But in the Athletic article, they're saying the couple was told they would be escorted out to their car, but eventually decided to exit on their own after the game. Again, that's contrary to what is in Platchkey's article. So which one is right? That's where, like, okay, so maybe I happen to read The Athletic and you read the LA Times. We both have different versions of the story. The only people who know what's true at this point are whatever is being reported by those people and by the Dodgers, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle. So
yes.
And that's where like speculation and all this stuff, and it's like, I guess that's where, like, at the end of the day, I'm just like, but it was handled how it was handled. And if we're gonna dig into it this deeply, then from a reporting standpoint, we have two different versions. So now what do we do with it? Or do we just let it be what it is?
And it's an interesting point that you bring up, the fact that there's 2 different versions. Well, I mean, there's different stuff being reported in the LA Times article and in the Athletic. But here's the thing. For me, obviously, I think something did go left in this negotiation because Lon Rosen commented on this. And for Lon Rosen to get involved, for those who aren't familiar, Lon Rosen is one of the top executives in the Dodgers organization. Like, you have the owners, you have Stan Kasten, then you have Lon Rosen. For Lon Rosen to feel the need to comment on this story, because as of this afternoon, what came out now is this couple is being invited back to Dodger Stadium on April 12th. They're giving them the full on the field experience. I think they're going to be able to meet some of the Dodger players, so they're going to be able to get some autographs out of this. So it's either the press on this was really, really bad, and the Dodgers feel like they need to correct something, or maybe the Dodgers do feel, hey, we mishandled this and we need to make this right. And if that's the case, then I think we need to applaud the Dodgers for acknowledging if something did go wrong, they want to make it right. But you want to come through this screen and choke me right now.
I just, like, this is the thing though, like, even if everything went left on this and it's just a communication breakdown every step of the way, it feels like the general they, whoever are commenting on all of this, it's like, well, that's it. That's all that can be done. But it's like, okay, now that it's been brought to light for the first article, from the second article, that gives the Dodgers the opportunity to, one, as you said, hey, it looks like they are looking to create better practices. It also gives them the opportunity to reach out, hey, can we give you a better experience? So I feel like there's a lot of like all or nothing of like, you mishandled it this way right now. So now we're done. Dodgers are horrible people. And that's not the case, because maybe they left and maybe they send an email. Hey, we've had a little bit of time to think on this. And, we didn't feel like the experience was good. Is there anything that you guys can do? Like, we're lifelong fans. Like, we love being there. Again, hypothetical situation, but there were different ways for this to shake out. And it sounds like the Dodgers are, they still had the opportunity to reach out. It sounds like they took that opportunity, and they're also looking at best practices going forward. So again, I feel like we're not your comment, but I feel like we're tearing this to pieces. And it's like, but look, positives are coming out of this. And that's not just me, Care Bear, staring my way through this. Things go wrong. And it's in baseball as in life, we all have opportunities to learn from that mistake, pick ourselves up and make a better option. And I don't think it has to be that this person is a villain now, like, oh, now I'm looking at this organization or these people differently. Like, okay, this is how we reacted, or this is how we responded, and now we can all move on. And I guess that's where I get so grumbly about stuff like this, where it's just like, they're taking the opportunity. Isn't that a good thing?
No, I think you
And
said
not,
it.
again, not directly at you. Like, isn't that in general a good thing?
Why are you mad at me, Amy?
I'm not
I wasn't
mad,
the one
no.
who did this.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not mad at you. It's not at you. But like, isn't in general, isn't that a good thing?
Well, look, and we preface this this story by saying this story, I think, really went in a direction that I started off as this small little joy, and now Lon Rosen is commenting on it, and now they're bringing them back. So obviously something happened, or the Dodgers aren't happy with how they are being perceived in this situation, because look, for the Athletic, the LA Times have interviewed this couple. Like I said, I saw this couple on NBC4 and on Fox 11. Who knows what other outlets that they've talked about. Look, no organization, nobody likes bad press. And so the fact that the Dodgers are going to address this, they're going to have an opportunity to do a redo. I do think, like Amy said, the important thing is this was done very, very fast. And sometimes you don't take everything into consideration when you're moving, and you've had time to think about it. And then, like, you know what? Maybe we didn't handle this in the best way. Let's get the important thing, the message to take away, so we can end this episode on a very positive note, is hablando se arreglan las cosas. For those of you guys who aren't fluent in Spanish, is when we communicate, we can fix things. When we talk, we can work things out. So that's
We've
going
done
to
a lot of talking today, guys. Thanks for listening.
any last words before we wrap things up, Amy?
Do you even like baseball, bro?
What do you want? You want a chocolate bar? Is that what's happening here? You want a chocolate bar?
Maybe. Do you have one?
Anyways, let's go ahead and take care of business here. If you have been listening to us on the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Write us a review, rate us, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments, let us know what you think about this whole Shohei ball drama. And then make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, Threads, Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Amy is flustered here, guys.
You got me all heated right now.
I got her so pissed off on this topic that she didn't want to spend all this time on. And look at this. Look, I mean, this is one of our longest episodes. Anyways, we're going to end the show the way we're now ending the show. Nos despedimos con un beso. She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You have been listening, watching Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.